The city never really slept. From his glass tower overlooking Manhattan, Ethan Ward watched the river shimmer beneath a veil of fog, lights flickering like scattered diamonds. The world knew him as one of the richest men in America, man who had built an empire on precision, speed, and control. But that night, as rain lashed the windows, Ethan felt nothing but exhaustion. His reflection in the glass looked hollow, his tie loose. His eyes rimmed with the kind of fatigue that came from years of success and loneliness combined. "Sir?" "Your car is ready," his assistant reminded him. He only nodded. "We'll stop by the restaurant before home," he said. It wasn't really his idea. His 6-year-old son, Daniel, had been with him for the day, a rare visit. Daniel had been born with cerebral palsy, and though his mind was bright, his body betrayed him. His mother, Clara, had died 2 years ago, and Ethan's guilt had been quietly eating him alive ever since. He never quite knew how to talk to his son. He always felt like he was failing him. Scene 1, the diner. They arrived at Rosie's Diner, a small place tucked between a laundromat and a bookstore. It wasn't where billionaires ate, but Daniel had pointed at it through the rain-streaked car window, whispering, "Daddy, can we eat there?" The lights look happy. How could Ethan say no? Inside, the bell above the door jingled. The air smelled of coffee, butter, and pancakes. The booths were cracked, the counter crowded with locals, and the jukebox hummed softly with old songs. That's where Maya Collins worked. She was 27, exhausted but radiant in her quiet whey-brown hair tied in a messy bun, sleeves rolled up and a pencil stuck behind her ear. She had dreams once of being a teacher, maybe a writer, but those had taken a back seat when her mother's health began to fail. Every paycheck went toward medical bills and rent. When she saw Ethan and his son enter, she didn't recognize him. To her, he was just another tired man in an expensive coat, holding the hand of a fragile little boy. "Booth or counter?" she asked kindly. "Booth," Ethan said shortly. He helped Daniel into the seat, but the boy's hand trembled as he tried to hold his spoon. Ethan watched, helpless, the same guilt tightening his chest. Maya came by with 2 menus. "You okay, sweetheart?" she asked Daniel gently. Daniel looked down, embarrassed. I spill." "That's okay," she smiled. "I spill things all the time. Watch this." She picked up a fork, pretended to drop it dramatically, and made a face. Daniel giggled. Ethan looked up, surprised. It was the first time he had heard his son laugh all day. Scene 2, the act of kindness. When the food came, pancakes for Daniel, black coffee for Ethan. Maya noticed the boy's small hand shaking again. The spoon clattered, syrup dripping down his wrist. Ethan reached for a napkin, but Maya was already there. "Hey, buddy," she said softly, crouching beside him. "Mind if I help?" Daniel nodded, and she began to feed him slowly, talking to him as if he were any other child about cartoons, pancakes, and the funny squeak the diner door made. Ethan froze. He had seen pity before, from nurses, teachers, strangers, but this wasn't that. Maya wasn't pitying his son. She was seeing him. Something in Ethan's chest broke open, a quiet ache he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. He looked down, pretending to read his phone, but his vision blurred. For 20 minutes, Maya stayed with Daniel, wiping his chin, laughing with him, letting him feel normal. And for the first time in a long time, Ethan saw his son glow. When she finally walked away to refill coffee for another table, Ethan whispered, "Thank you." She smiled. "He's a sweet kid." Scene 3, the hidden observer. The rest of the meal passed in silence. Ethan kept glancing toward the counter where Maya worked, noticing how she helped an old man carry his tray, joked with teenagers, and even gave a homeless man a cup of soup on the house. When they finished, Ethan pulled out his black card. "Check, please." But Maya shook her head. "Don't worry about it." He frowned. "That's not necessary." "I know," she said softly. "But sometimes kindness shouldn't come with a price tag." He stared at her for a moment, unable to reply. Scene 4, the search. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept seeing the image of his son smiling, of Maya kneeling beside him, of the warmth in her eyes. By morning, he had made a decision. He asked his head of security, Find everything about a waitress named Maya Collins at Rosie's Diner. Within hours, he knew. Small apartment in Queens, overdue rent, mother in hospice. Part-time night school. He visited the diner again the next day, but she wasn't there. She took her mom to the hospital, said another waitress. Ethan left his business card with a note. You changed my son's life yesterday? Let me return the favor. Scene 5. The following week later, Maya's mother passed away. The bills stacked up. The landlord threatened eviction. Her world fell apart quietly. When she finally found Ethan's card in her apron pocket, she hesitated for hours before dialing. Mr. Ward? It's Maya from the diner. I was hoping you'd call, he said. Can we meet? They met in a cafe downtown. Ethan wasn't in his usual tailored armor. He wore a sweater, his hair slightly disheveled. Maya looked fragile, holding herself together with sheer will. He listened as she told him about her mother, about her dreams she'd buried. Ethan reached across the table. You reminded me what compassion looks like, he said. Let me help you. I can pay for your studies, clear your debts. Tears welled in her eyes. I can't accept that. You didn't ask for anything when you helped my son, he replied. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. Scene 6. The transformation months passed. Maya started college again, studying education, her mother's dream for her. Ethan supported her quietly, never demanding anything in return. She visited Daniel often. They read stories together, painted clumsy pictures, and filled the mansion's cold rooms with laughter. Ethan began to change too. He attended Daniel's therapy sessions, learned how to help him walk short distances, even cooked breakfast, sometimes badly. But with effort, the three of them became an odd little family of sorts. And though Ethan felt something growing between him and Maya, he never voiced it. He was afraid to ruin the fragile peace they had built. Scene 7. The accident one winter morning. While driving Daniel to school, their car was struck by a delivery truck skidding on black ice. Ethan woke up in the hospital with a broken rib and blood on his hands. Where's Daniel? He gasped. The nurse hesitated. He's stable, but in surgery. Ethan broke down for the first time in decades. Hours later, Maya arrived, tears streaming, hair uncombed, clutching Daniel's stuffed bear. She sat beside Ethan, holding his hand. He's strong, she whispered. You both are. Scene 8. The choice. Daniel survived, but his condition worsened. He would need round-the-clock care. The doctor said he might not walk again. Ethan blamed himself. He spent nights in the hospital, refusing food. Haunted by guilt, one night, Maya found him staring out the window. You can't carry the whole world on your shoulders, she said gently. He turned to her, voice breaking. I don't know how to be the father he deserves. She stepped closer, eyes shining with tears. Then just be there. That's all he ever wanted. For the first time, Ethan embraced her, both of them crying quietly in the sterile glow of the hospital room. Scene 9. The goodbye months later. Daniel's heart gave out in his sleep. The funeral was small snow falling softly, white roses on a small casket. Maya stood beside Ethan, her hand in his. He changed me, Ethan whispered. He showed me how to love. Maya squeezed his hand. He showed both of us. After the funeral, Ethan disappeared from the public eye. He sold several of his companies, donating billions to children's hospitals and disability programs, each one named after Daniel Ward Foundation for Hope. Maya continued her studies, eventually becoming a special education teacher. Every year on Daniel's birthday, she received white roses and a small note from Ethan. For the boy who taught us both to see. Scene 10. The final meeting 10 years later, Maya was leaving her classroom when a familiar voice called her name. She turned, and there he was. Older, softer, the sharp edges of wealth worn away. Ethan Ward, I thought I'd find you here, he said, smiling faintly. She smiled back. You always do. They walked together through the empty schoolyard, the sunset painting the sky gold. Daniel would have been 16 today, Ethan said quietly. I know, she whispered. He'd be proud of you. He shook his head. No, he'd be proud of you. They stood in silence for a long moment. Then Ethan reached into his coat and handed her a small envelope. Inside was a letter, greater than Maya. You once said kindness shouldn't come with a price tag. You were right. But it can come with purpose. This school is now fully funded for children with special needs. It will carry your name, the Maya Collins Center for Inclusive Learning, for every child who struggles. You will be their light, just as you were for my son. With eternal gratitude, Ethan tears blurred her vision. She looked up to thank him, but he was already walking away toward his car. The same way he had walked into her life years ago, she called out softly, "Ethan?" He turned, smiling sadly. "Goodbye, Maya." And just like that, he was gone. Epilogue. A year later, Ethan passed away quietly in his sleep. At his funeral, hundreds of children from the foundation he created attended, each holding a white rose. Maya stood before his grave, whispering through her tears, "You changed my life forever, Ethan, just like you promised." She looked toward the sky. The sun broke through the clouds, a warm beam touching the petals in her hand, and in that light, for a brief flash,